What a brilliant time to start. Happy New Year's, everyone. Happy New Year, Raging Pseudo. I'm sorry it's been so long. A little under the weather.
It has been a while.
It happens.
This lets me talk.
I am very washed out. I'm going to make myself less washed out.
There you go.
I've got a glow and I'm okay with this.
Yeah, you're kind of glowing pink. I like it. It goes with the fireworks. And hey, Board. Hey, Pookie. Hey, Lurkers. How's everybody been? I'm here. I'm back. I'm alive. I didn't die. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Being not dead, generally a good thing. Yes. I agree.
Yes. I rather enjoy being alive. Breathing, eating, smoking, drinking, all those fun things still happening. And soon I'll start streaming them again. Very soon. We've got to get back to Dipanya.
Small point of order before we get going. The right-hand side of the answers column is cut off.
Yeah, what happened? Oh, must be the shrinking of this.
Yay.
Voila. All right. So, how's everybody doing? I didn't get any answers. I know you guys are good, but yeah, how you guys been? How's your New Year? How was your Christmas? How's everybody?
Well, for my New Year's celebrations, it was stay at home and do nothing, which was great. That was exactly what I wanted to do.
Me too. Stayed home, played games. Hey, Jesus. How you doing?
I started the new year off by just playing like Yakuza all night. So it's a good start to 2021.
Solid. I played Sushi Ghost. That's what I did. I officially picked it up and started playing it.
The Ghost of Sushis?
Yep, the Ghost of Sushi. You can't see me, but you can smell me.
I want to quickly say, I look at this like Fast and Furious Honda Civic, and I am down with this. With my neon underglow.
You are the Honda Civic.
The Honda Civic of streamers? That's not a terrible thing. They're popular at least, right? Everybody's got one.
Yeah, the parts are cheap.
That's true. Cheap parts. Cheap parts are a good thing. So, if you didn't know, to start off every year, we talk about all of our favorites from last year. And we don't say the best, because who can say the best? Nobody can say the best. We can say our favorites.
I can. I mean, nobody.
I think we should just dive in before we go too long without starting. So, we starting with favorite combat. Does anybody in chat want to say what their favorite combat of the year was for games before we all reveal the same game?
Because there is a correct answer for this one.
As proof, we made 3 independent lists. When you look at these lists, we did not consult each other. We just made our lists and then shared them at the end and went, huh. Hades for Jesus. It was pretty good combat. Pretty good combat. I can't deny. I mean, if that was your favorite, there's no denying it. You probably like that style. Pookie says Doom Eternal. And Deus is going to have to agree with Pookie. Doom Eternal. The best.
Surprising literally nobody.
And Rage.
Also Doom Eternal.
Oh my. And Pseudo.
Yeah, big surprise. It's Doom Eternal.
Oh my. Would you what? What? No, hey, I got them all. Apparently I hit my button again. Yeah, Doom Eternal. The combat in Hades was great, and it's definitely a close runner-up. It's a great combat style, and if you're not a fan of shooters at all, then yeah, you probably aren't going to love the combat in Doom Eternal, but it's just, it's so crisp and sharp and fast, the control allowing that level of combat, and then the mechanics, the design of it, to force you to use your guns accurately and well, and rotate weapon, and use the right weapon against the right thing, and use all your weapons, and pace your chainsaw, and just everything about the game was so well done. You looked fine before, just leave it.
I can't help it. I'm a fiddler. I fiddle with things.
Yeah. Don't fiddle on the live broadcast. What you do is you fiddle before, and you get a better light. And then you look like me.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's true.
This is the difference between lighting. This is if whenever we're talking about lighting being the key to good video, me to them, that's the difference of lighting. Otherwise, we're running the same stuff.
Yep. I think we've all got exactly the same green screen. We've all got exactly the same webcam. It's just lighting.
Yep.
The lighting just makes Deus look that much better.
I'm also just beautiful.
Yeah, this is also true.
I'm actually just this pale. There's only so much lighting can do. There's nothing to show.
I mean, I'm actually more pale than I look here. I've just got good lighting so I can make myself look colorful and not bad.
Yeah, there's no amount of lighting that can save me. It is. I am just Casper. But yeah, I was amazed with just one quick thing on Doom Eternal. Its combat, it was fresh because like we all love Doom 2016 as a shooter, and it's kind of like, well, what can they do to really make it stand out as a separate game besides just having Doom 2016 2, the sequel, and they are like
which for the record I would have been totally fine with.
Yeah. That's
I would have been
totally
fine with more Doom 2016.
I just wanted Doom 2016 too.
I was like, hey, with more Doom, I'm down. And then they just drop this, and you're like, oh. And I still find myself throughout the year, like I beat the game, and then it was around. I still haven't played the DLC, which I should do, but before it came out, I'm like, I just had itching just to play it, just because that combat is just so smooth and so fun, and it's like it's addicting. Just so much action all the time, and all the movement that's going on. And I'm like, oh my god! And just it's a little bit annoying at first when you have just so many buttons to push, but like once it kind of clicks, it's like I enjoy this. There is a whole management side of this thing going on. It just feels intense, and like the arena map design of the combat, like after it finishes, you're just like out of breath, like holy shit, like what happened?
it is a rush.
Yeah. It's one of the only shooter games that's ever got my blood pumping like a Souls-like.
Yeah,
and one of the things that I found super incredible, because I've been playing shooters for a long time. Like Pseudo and I are both shooter players, and this was the first game that ever made me actually learn to quick weapon switch.
Yeah,
haven't had to up until this point. It was all just click on heads. Yep, I can wait between shots because everything dies because I'm shooting it in the head. And then in Doom Eternal, I actually had to learn how to weapon switch.
Most shooters fall in the category of like you just find the weapon. You're like, all right, this is mine. This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And you just use that for the rest of the game. And this one's like, no, you have to use certain weapons on certain enemy types, and you have to use, certain that, and you just run out of ammo if you're not careful. If you overuse a weapon too much, you will just run out of its ammo. And it forces you to. I just love how they force you to use almost every mechanic to succeed in that game.
Big agree.
You can't just rely on just if you can aim and pull off headshots, like yeah, it'll help you quite a bit. But they added so much more to that. Like no, you also have to be able to manage your ammo and manage your distance properly, and manage with your chainsaw fuel and great stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And just a quick touch on it, because I had somebody else disagree with me before. The glory kill system in the Doom 2016 in this is actually a risk reward system. Getting in close is a risk. It always will be. I had somebody go, there's no risk in that. I'm like, turn the difficulty up.
Yeah. So one of the things that makes Doom Eternal's combat so great is its difficulty system, in that it doesn't actually adjust numbers. It just adjusts how aggressive the enemy is.
And how many there are.
If you're playing on very easy difficulties, they generally won't attack you during a glory kill. But if you're playing on higher difficulties and you go in for a glory kill and you're surrounded by enemies, they're just going to monster you.
You do have iframes during the glory kill in a little span of it, but you do have to think about it. Like there's definitely times where I'm dashing into it because I'm almost dead, needing to get that glory kill off, but there's like 4 things firing at me at the same time, and
yeah, they'll flank you while you're doing it, and then if you don't have the like increased movement speed after it, you have to it gets to the point where you need to see your way in and also have your way out already envisioned before pulling off the glory kill. You can't just like do the glory kill then be like, all right, where do I want to go? You'll be like, okay, I'm going to glory kill, then I'm gonna go and jump off the monkey bar thing and fly up over here, or like go around this corner. You can't just do the glory kill and decide to like. I found I had to like kind of queue up what I was gonna do before I went in there, because if you don't, you're just gonna turn around and be surrounded and just get blown up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Also, using the Gauss cannon to rocket jump. Oh, so good.
I also really enjoy the speedrun bug for getting yourself stuck in an edge and then spinning the wheel while it's mapped to jump while you have the weapon wheel over. So you just insert like 100 jump commands in the space of a half second in game, and they all add together, and you go. And for the record, the Doom Eternal devs saw that and went, let's put a message in the skybox.
They didn't say, let's patch that out. They said, we're going to put a message up there.
Next time, we're going to give them something to see. All right. Moving on forward, nice and slow like. 420. I haven't been dabbing. I took a long break, but it's New Year's. Favorite boss.
So this one we actually have some different answers for.
Yeah, nobody had the same answer. Super interesting. Jesus, you'll be happy on this one. But I'd like to hear from you guys. Of the games that came out this year that you got to play, what was your favorite boss? What's the most memorable one to you guys? What did you like?
Well, my favorite this year is actually a remake of an old boss from one of my favorite game series.
Ooh, hold on. What have I done?
Oh.
What have I done?
What have you done?
Uh-oh, hold on.
We're holding. Live broadcast. What even is this?
There we go. I had your and Pseudo's answer sheet backwards. The Unchained for Pookie. That would be Mortal Shell's last boss.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was very weird.
The Sea Turkey.
Not my favorite boss to fight, but weird and interesting.
Yeah,
really cool.
It probably was the closest to giving me a Bloodborne feeling that is a game that's not Bloodborne. When that boss crawled out, I went, ooh, you got interesting. And then I just kind of wrecked it. But, you know, that's what
and then the game ended, but yeah. But yeah, the game that the boss rather that I liked the most this year is, as I said, a boss from a remade game, one that has quite the cult following, one of my favorite game series out there, and it's the Storm King from Demon's Souls. Just
for the record, remakes do qualify, but remasters do not qualify for our awards, our favorites. That's how we do it.
A remake is rebuilding the game from the ground up, and a remaster is putting a fresh coat of paint on the old logic.
Yep. Storm King. I haven't gotten to fight him yet, so I wasn't allowed to choose that. However, I'm still pretty happy. I'm still pretty happy with what I came up with. And I ended up giving it to Hades. From Hades. What if the remaster adds new content? Good for them.
You just said remaster. Then it's a remaster.
Yep. Sometimes remasters add in patches and expansions and stuff like that, but it's usually not fresh new content in a remaster. It's just content that wasn't included before that is now included.
Yeah, if it's too much new content, then it's a remake, basically. I mean, a remake can still be pretty close to the original material, but if they start adding in like new bosses and stuff like that, it's probably more on the remake side than a remaster.
Yeah, the only remaster I can think of that added in a whole new content end area dungeon is like Final Fantasy VI and those really old games that they remaster. And like, hey, we didn't have the room for this dungeon before, so we popped it back in. It's still a remaster.
Yeah, turns out it's hard to work with a couple of megs of space.
Yeah, but Hades as boss, I mean, it's been a rough year for bosses. There wasn't a ton to choose from.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I don't play a lot of games with bosses in it. Some of my hidden gem one and a bunch of other games I play. I play a lot of kind of puzzle exploration games and even a lot of open world games. And there are bosses in some of them, but they're usually pretty
Mediocre. Yeah.
Because it's not really the kind of point of the game too much. It's kind of like, here's something to do. So it's hard to really find ones that stand out for me. But for this year, it was actually still goes to Doom Eternal's first Marauder fight. Because I think that one really stood out to me of like, because most shooters I find when I play them, a lot of the boss fights are kind of like you're fighting some big thing that's in the center of the map and you're just shooting points off of it, and then eventually you find some mechanic to take it down. And this one was like, the dude walks in through a portal and just starts like sprinting into your face and smacking you around, and it's so weird to have in a shooter where you're like trying to actually like out-kite him and shoot the ads beside him, and there was a lot going on, and it was one of those points of like, oh wow, I really need to kind of like buckle up and sit down and actually think besides just trying to click on a boss's head, which is usually the shooter mechanic. Like, just shoot him in the face a few times and he'll drop. It's like, oh no, I've got shit to do. I've got things coming at me.
The Marauder will actually ruin you.
Like that first encounter, like eventually he just kind of becomes just another enemy that you can kind of just wreck. But that first encounter is restrained in a way where you don't have all the tools to really deal with them at first. You kind of just have your like shotgun and your other kind of machine guns to shoot the ads. So
No, by the time you fight him for the first time, you've got at least the ballista, up to the ballista.
Maybe I didn't have that. I don't remember having that, but I don't remember that working too well.
I certainly did have the ballista because that's how I ended up beating him.
Yeah, I just used a shotgun in the assault rifle to just pop everything off. I didn't have too much trouble with them. I just like the fight itself. I'm like, oh, this is very interesting for a shooter. Having to actually like pay this much attention and not just have the mechanic of shooting him in the head.
Hey, you've got a melee guy with a shield charging you now, so you better learn how to dodge and watch the animations. It almost felt like a Souls boss plopped into a shooter and somehow it worked.
He would telegraph his attacks, and you would have to respond accordingly. I think it was an eyes flashed. He was going to dash at you, so you had to shotgun him to stop him.
Don't have to shotgun him. You just have to hit him with a weapon in that face. They show you the shotgun in the tutorial.
And the shotgun is interestingly actually the worst weapon to fight him with. But any power weapon will stun him when his eyes flash.
Yeah. Yeah, I kept trying the shotgun. I was like, this is not working out. And I pulled out the ballista and he did a flash. It went poof. It stunned him. I was like, I can do this.
The fight last year, I beat him on my second or third try, so I don't think I hit that point of like trying something new. But it seemed to work okay. But yeah, I definitely noticed that it probably didn't do enough damage because the fight did last quite a while. But I was dodging all this bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stood up the most for me.
It took a while for me to beat him, but when I did beat him, it was ballista and it's only like 4 or 5 shots. And then I saw him killed in 2 hits in a speedrun. And I was like, okay, I gotcha. and for me, it being Hades, just he's a great culmination to the game. Hey, you've built your build. We're going to test your build as thoroughly as you can, and also make sure that you know how to dodge. And if you can't use your dodge well, then that boss is going to wreck you pretty much no matter what build you have. You cannot just brute force him. You gotta game mechanics to beat him, and he'll beat you most of the time, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, until you get some good talents unlocked in the gods trees, it can be very difficult to beat Hades.
Yeah, I thought he was a great culmination there. Great culmination. And yes, there is a doggo that he summons, Pookie, and you can't fight the doggo, if I remember right. You can't kill the doggo.
Nope, you can.
Oh, you can shoot the doggo?
You totally can.
Okay. I don't think I ever did. I just went, doggo, kill the marauder.
Yeah, rip Alex Trebek.
Yeah, the Jeopardy setup just works so well for 3 of us. It's just I couldn't deny it. It worked.
I went with Storm King actually for reasons completely counter to what you would expect me to pick, because mechanically the fight honestly not all that interesting, and I'm not going to go into that because Deus hasn't played the game yet, so let's not talk about mechanics. But the visual and audio weight of this boss, it just has so much presence, and it's so cool, and it's so unique for a Souls game, that really, really stands out against the rest of the cast of bosses, even all the way up to Bloodborne. It stands on its own, and the job that Blue Point did in the remaster, vamping up the visuals, vamping up the audio, making him really, really impressive, is why it became my favorite boss of the year.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm super looking forward to that game. Super looking forward to that game. In fact, if I had had a chance to play that game, it probably would have gotten my favorite of the year. One of the bosses in there, I'm sure, would have been my favorite. However, PS5s you can't get your hands on, so the game doesn't get jack. That's right. It gets punished for PS5s being unavailable. Suck it. Haha. All right. What have we gone to? We're on to our favorite writing. Who wants to talk about their favorite writing first? How about the audience? Favorite writing in a game.
The audience.
We want to hear your opinion too. We're going to keep... Oh, I love that. That's so cute. That's so cute. Look at the little hat on him.
There you go, little Santa hat.
Oh, damn. That's what I forgot to put on this screen. I made this screen in like a couple hours. Totally forgot to put the alerts in the chat on it. So no alerts, please.
So chat, do you have any favorite writing in a video game this year?
I'll go ahead and start with mine while you guys get yours put in. Might be a little obvious, a little on the nose, but it really was the best part of the game. And the only really good thing I can say about the game. But its writing was great. I loved the writing.
Unfortunate.
I wanted it to be so much more, but at least it had good writing. I really enjoyed the writing. And your mileage may vary, as we talked about. Chrono Trigger? I mean, it didn't come out this year, but yeah, great writing.
Fantastic game all around.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely love the Chrono Trigger. I've only beaten it like 24, 30 times, something like that. I'll keep playing it. I'll do it on stream again, probably within a year or two. I have to play it regularly. But since I'm limited to games that came out... Well, that's not the right one. Since I'm limited to games that came out this year, Cyberpunk. I can't think of better writing that I played. Now, if I had pseudo experience, then I might have chosen what he chose.
Yep, since we flashed it, I might as well go next. I did really enjoy the writing in Cyberpunk, but there were quite a few times in it where it felt a bit flat for me. The main stuff was really good, but there were still a lot of things that were like certain times certain characters would say, and I'm like, I don't think people would ever talk like that. I don't know if it was just like I don't know why it was the way it was for some of the things they'd say, but it wasn't a huge detractor from it. But it's also just kind of really hard with open world games to get like a really to have that, like, to compare it to like a linear narrative game, since it is kind of open and it depends on how you play it. But for me, it was the new series of Yakuza, which is Like a Dragon, and it's actually something I was playing recently. And if it wasn't for me picking it up recently and playing it, it probably would have went to Cyberpunk for me. But Yakuza just is just on its own tier for writing. It's basically a movie that you're watching. The dialogue and the drama is just fantastic, and I don't know how they just keep it up after like I think 7 or 8 games now.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I would say more than like a movie, it's more like your favorite serialized television drama.
Yeah, and like there's like I won't spoil too much because I know Deus wants to play this, but there are some parts that are kind of similar to what happens in kind of Cyberpunk. And then playing this game, I'm like, I actually feel a lot more invested when I was playing through this. And it's not really a fault too much on the writing of Cyberpunk. Sometimes it's unfortunate just because of open world games. You don't have that, cohesion of point to point. And you can kind of have a lull in the gap. And then all of a sudden, sometimes the writing doesn't make too much sense because you've done some side quests where you run into some other characters in the main stuff. And you're kind of like, well, you were like this here and now you're like this. So sometimes that immersion gets kind of broken. But with Yakuza, since it's a mostly linear story, besides the sub stories, they have the advantage of just really gripping you and really kind of just pulling you in. And since there's a lot of dark themes in this game as well, and they were kind of like, oh shit, oh wow, oh damn, kind of all the time, and it's just time after time, and it's really pulled me in, and it's just fantastically done.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the Japanese style RPG trend. You know, it allows you to have a much more focused writing style, and Chrono Trigger benefits from that, and FF8 benefits from that. The games that have been named have all benefited from that, and yeah, like I said, if I had played Like a Dragon, I'm thinking it might be at my top.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. How long ago have you played? It's rough. It's really rough. Like, yeah, there's times I just sit there like, oh damn. I feel it makes you feels. Makes you have feels.
Yeah, if I had
good writing.
If I had played more than just Yakuza 0, I might have jumped into it, but I know that a lot of them are fairly linear in story, one after the other, and dependent on each other. And I was told that I shouldn't just jump into it. So I've been sitting here like sweating and fiending and scratching and getting itchy every time I see it. Like, oh, I need the fix, man. But I've held off, and we're gonna do it on stream. We are gonna do it on stream.
Eventually. So that, I guess, brings us to my favorite writing of the year. And like Deus, I really enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077's writing. And like Pseudo, I really enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077's writing. It was really good. I cared about the characters, which is more than I can say for most games I played this year.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Actually, when we get to that favorite character slot, it's going to be an interesting talk there.
It had, for like the sub-quest lines, it's hard to distinguish which ones were gigs and which ones were like actual like sub-quests, but the ones that are still close to main quest lines, some of them were those main characters, they were very well done. And it's like, I usually don't give too much of a shit about some side characters in a lot of games, especially games that are like this. It's usually just like, you know, the main cast, but in this game, part of the like a lot of the supporting roles are really well done. They're really well written, really well voice acted, and you kind of just want to keep playing through their quest lines just because you want to know what's going to happen. You want to just kind of be around these characters more.
Not to have too many spoilers, but character at the beginning was one of my favorites.
Yeah, the trailer spoiled that for me.
That sucks.
Some of that content.
I'm glad I avoided all the trailers.
It was one of the first trailers too that it was part of, I think it might have been E3 or something, and I was really surprised they put that in there, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe they'll rewrite some parts of this or something will change. And they changed quite a bit, but didn't change that. So it was hard for me to like, you know,
have that reaction.
A lot of the first part of the game, I kind of just knew it was happening. And some of the earlier quests got kind of like the first, basically a lot of those quests they put in trailers, which I understand, at least it's in the early parts of the game. But I also found that like a lot of the strongest writing for some of those quests was in that earlier part of the game, so it was kind of unfortunately tanked my experience a bit from watching those trailers. Yeah,
spoiling the intro ruins a lot of the experience.
Yeah, I will say though that the Cyberpunk 2077 writing does sort of follow the general, okay, have a good start, have a good ending, and yeah, you can kind of fuck up the middle and nobody really cares. Because there is some weakness in the mid game, but the start and the end are very strong. The ending that I got, I thought was really, really excellent, which was not the same one that Deus got and not the same one that Pseudo got, at least the first time. And I thought that the ability to exert your choices in the game was captured fairly well by the endings.
Yeah,
I concur.
Like, and they caught some flack for the whole like yes and then yes but as Nomad kind of thing. But like even then, like I still found that like I think people's expectations were hoping that, you know, your path would lead you down an entirely different main storyline, which I think really I'm okay with it. Yeah, number one, it's hard to do, and number two, I think I'm okay with it, you know, not doing that, because then you kind of have to sign on to this thing at the start of the game. Then they're writing 3 different games, but even just having that, you know, it helps with the role-playing aspect. It helps you know, like, this is your character's background. This is the stuff they have done. They would have information about this. Like, I played through Nomad, and my partner's currently playing through a Corpo run, And there's a lot of different dialogue options and a lot of stuff that I didn't think would probably be there for the Corpo run. And that
I really liked Corpo.
brings up a lot of really cool, interesting things. And I'm like, wow, this is, sure, it doesn't really change a lot of the outcomes right out of the gate or for certain quests all the time, but it does add quite a bit of, unique character, unique kind of immersive ability to it.
I look forward to playing more Corpo at some point. I did do the Corpo intro, and I did find it very interesting how short the Corpo intro was compared to the... can't remember who they're called. People out in the wastes. Nomads. The Nomad intro was much longer than the Corpo intro. Much more involved. I had to do more things. More driving around, stuff like that by myself. More shooting, more action in general. Every time someone leans to the side, I keep thinking they will show up in the other person's camera view, but you are all in different places. Camera editing magic. I can just like whoosh.
Most delayed punch ever. Lag punch.
Totally forgot. Yeah, so the mileage difference in the intros, I was actually pretty shocked by. So if you're like, I just want to get to the action of the game, then go Corpo. And if you really want a nice in-depth intro that gives you a good feel for the world and what things are kind of like in that day and age, go the people out in the waste that I always forget the name of. Nomads.
Nomad. I was kind of surprised because like even the Nomad start felt kind of short to me. And then the Corpo one, you kind of just start in the city. Because Nomad, I figured, getting to the city would be this like kind of big development process. But then it was kind of just a cutscene, which I accidentally skipped the first time. For some reason, pressing C just skips it, which is also the thing to use to crouch.
Yeah,
and they don't do the just have it so you hold it for a half a second or a second, a little fill bar or something. But yeah, I skipped it, so I'm like, I better reload so I can. And I watched that cutscene. I'm like, there was a lot. Like it gave you most of the exposition was from that cutscene. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, wow. If I didn't reload, if I just assumed like it was some small thing, I would be kind of confused as to why I'm so buddy with a bunch of people now.
Okay, we're officially complaining about the games we're giving awards to, so let's move on.
Cyberpunk is not without its problems. Let's just put it at that.
Not at all. It's not at all.
A game of extreme highs and extreme lows.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. So, moving on to favorite visual styles. Let's start with Pseudo.
Yeah, this is going to Cyberpunk for me. Which is probably because I'm one of the ones that can actually get to play it on the settings, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm a sucker for Cyberpunk in general. I wish there would have been a bit more, I want to say freshness or a bit more of their own kind of personal take on it, kind of deriving away. But I also know they're working with a pre-existing IP, so there are some limitations to how far they can kind of take that stylistically, and they are kind of locked into the Cyberpunk game that was written in, I think it was the 80s or something.
Yeah.
But it is gorgeous walking around the neon lights, and especially when it rains in the game, it is just, I'm in awe. And walking into like the bars like the Afterlife or any of the other inside clubs, it is just like phenomenal. It is just, even when I'm watching my partner play, I'm like, wow, pretty.
Yeah, it's a pretty game.
Yeah, it's as Nariel brings up, the investors having such a heavy pull as far as when the game gets released, and so many pre-orders and a lot of financial things that were not handled well around Cyberpunk. It really hurt the game. But at the end of the day, like, the engineers are good engineers, and they made an incredibly good looking game.
Yeah, just sucks it runs like garbage.
Yep.
Yeah, that is sad. But it was super pretty. I agree. And I think mine's a little interesting and might surprise some people. Not a game you might have expected to come up, but goddamn, every time we played it, the only thing we could do is continuously comment on how perfect they got the styling. That was DBZ Kakarot.
It's
Not
true.
a game you're going to see get a lot of awards.
Literally every time we fired up that game on stream, God damn this visual style, though.
It looks like you're playing an anime.
It is just an anime.
Yep.
It is literally playing an anime. It's fantastic.
Yep. I mean, it is just the DBZ story. So if you already know the story to death and you've heard it a million times and you don't want to hear it anymore, the game's probably not for you, and I can get that. I actually didn't know the DBZ story. I always preferred Dragon Ball and only caught parts of DBZ, and it never really hooked me in. So getting to play it linearly as it's supposed to happen in a proper order and experience it all, it's actually a pretty nice experience. So I think that helped my opinion of the visual style. It's like I'm playing the anime and getting the story. This is fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, I unfortunately have done the whole DBZ thing to death, and then resurrected it, and then did it to death again, and then resurrected it again, and then did it to death again. So didn't have quite as much pull for me. I didn't actually play that game. Did not have any interest in it.
And Pookie also said Mortal Shell.
Yeah, that did have an interesting visual style. It had a lot of UX problems because of its visual style, though, which was weird.
Animal Crossing Eternal for shifting flawlessly between bright cartoon illustrations and maximum gore.
Yeah, Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing coming out on the same date this year was pretty awesome.
Something for everyone.
Indeed.
But my favorite visual style of the year is a game that will be mentioned, I think, a couple of times later on. But it's actually Ghost of Tsushima. Not only is the visual style, as far as the environment that you're in, the characters you're playing, the characters that you meet, all incredible and done on the same engine as as Horizon Zero Dawn.
UE4. I was wrong.
Oh, was it
I looked
UE4?
into it. It's actually UE4. I don't know why I was so convinced that it was. Maybe just because of they used a lot of the same systems, and the control is basically the same in them.
It does look and feel almost exactly like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is interesting that they managed to do that with UE4. Mm-hmm. But the way that they managed to get that game to just capture the beauty of your natural surroundings was incredible. Like it just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm a sucker for nature. I prefer nature to the cyberpunk sort of setting. So that was my pick as far as visual style. Not to forget to mention the different camera modes that you can throw on, like the black and white cinema camera mode, which is really, really cool. Like throwing back to all the old samurai movies, and you're riding your horse through these open fields, and the wind's blowing and the grass is moving. It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, the old cinema mode is an old, very famous director of those classic samurai movies. That's what all the sword fight scenes are made to look like, and the standoffs and stuff like that. So they threw in his camera style. Well done. Well done. Yeah. It is me. But I finish it at the end. I'm enjoying talking. Now I just go like this. See? Let me talk.
We're just talking about video games.
It'll get filled in. I'm sorry.
Favorite characters. This was one that I had trouble with. Had trouble picking a favorite character this year.
Yeah, me as well. Just not a strong year for characters in general. It's just not. Sad.
But I did end up coming up with one. And unsurprising, based on my comments on the writing, it's Panam from Cyberpunk 2077. But I found her writing very real. She felt like a real character in, you know, this crazy world and trying to make her way, not necessarily agreeing with her family, different values, etc., etc. And she was very convincing. Very much enjoyed the writing for Panam.
Yeah, that was some of my favorite in that game as well. When I first started that arc, I had a bunch of other kind of stuff going on. I'm like, y'all gonna have to wait. I'm gonna go hang out with this person for a while. I'm gonna go see what's going on over here. It's like, yeah, the city's cool and all, but you know what? I think this person's cooler, so I'm gonna go over here.
We all had the exact same experience with that one. As soon as I met Panam, I was like, see you guys, I'm out. How's it going, DJ? Welcome.
Now. Screw all this cyberpunk shit. We're nomads now. We're gonna live in the wasteland.
Since we had such difficulty with this question and all came up with different characters, I really want to hear from chat if they actually have a favorite character from a game this year. That very greatly interests me. That was very English. Not Mad Max. Yeah, it's basically female Mad Max.
Mad Maxine. But
yes.
Yeah, it there feels like there's a lull in 2020. It's probably because there was a lot of games that get delayed until 2021, which would have filled in a lot of these gaps. And I think it even results in, I think a lot of people are waiting for next year for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, there's also a lot of games that probably should have been delayed and then weren't.
True.
But yeah, like Halo was supposed to come out this year. And I don't know if it really would have taken too much, but it might have taken at least some mention somewhere. I'm kind of looking forward to maybe what they're doing with the soundtrack, because Halo, for a lot of the parts, actually has an amazing soundtrack, and I'm really hoping that they go ham on it for this one. And they delayed until fall of next year, which is actually amazing. That must not have been hard. That must have been very hard for them to do, because I don't think an Xbox console has launched without a Halo game, maybe ever.
Yeah.
Xbox launched without a first-party game, which is, massive. So they must have, at least at a board level, there was, a lot of probably pushback of like, no, just put it out. We need it. This is what we do, kind of thing, right? And they're like, no, like if we had other games that got launched now that we see, and there probably some good justification for it now, but it's a good thing they stuck by and they say, no, we need to delay this, especially from the reaction to their trailer where people were looking at I think it was the brutes, and they were like, what the hell is that? And the damage to image and the damage to reputation is, so much more than whatever you would make by releasing it or, making those margins. So like, it's good for them to delay it. And I'm really excited for it, because in an extra year, when I saw that certain games were being delayed by, 6 months, I'm like, okay, that's quite a bit of stuff to do. But once you start seeing it delayed by 3 months or delayed by 1 month, that there's not really much they can do in a month that they couldn't have, figured out before. And it probably needs to be delayed more than a month. So it's usually a really bad sign. And, turns out it is. So I'm glad they just, bought the bullet and was like, yeah, just do it for the year. Give the devs enough time. Don't, have them stressing to make these other close-up deadlines. Figure out your stuff. Everyone's now working remotely. There's new things everyone needs to figure out. Take the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 1 month delay is never worth it. It's not going to be enough time. And all you're going to do is piss people off, both the developers and the people who buy the game.
There are some fringe instances where it could be a good idea. Nearing the end of completing your project, you just need that little bit more time for whatever it is you've been working to add in. But it's going to be a rare occurrence. That's not usually why it's going to be delayed.
But anyway, back on topic.
Yeah.
Favorite characters.
Yeah, I might as well jump into mine. And as to probably no surprise to Howling God, it's going to be Ichiban Kasuga from Yakuza Like a Dragon. My God, I feel for this character, and I am just so invested. And it's quite a bit different from the typical like Kiryu as you play through Yakuza. I won't go into too much for spoiler reasons, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying playing a bit more of an immature character. Kiryu is kind of just like the golden boy, always does the best thing, always right. And this character has a lot of room to grow, and I am very excited to be a part of that journey of watching them grow and grow into who they are. And even just why they do this things they do. And this game references a lot of Dragon Quest, and it's the character's favorite game, and he views everything as a video game kind of thing. And that's where they kind of pull in the JRPG stuff, and a lot of that dialogue, and just a lot of who the character is just very relatable as a person, as a gamer, and just it's fantastic. And then when things happen in the story, you're just pulled so much into it, and I just love this character.
Sounds like a great example of excellent character writing.
Yeah, I really want to play that game. I really, really do. I'm sure I would have been able to actually choose a favorite character quite easily that way. Interestingly, despite loving the writing for Cyberpunk, I don't think any of the individual characters really qualified. Like Pan Am was great, but there wasn't a lot to her. She was about the same as she was. and I think what had, like, I kept just sitting there thinking, like, what character? And nothing was coming to mind, and then one character came to my mind multiple times. So I went with Sister Janessa and pulled some Mortal Shell into the rankings. I just love the design on her. The representation of her, the sound, cool. and like... when you are approaching the monolith area and you encounter the massive form of her explaining the story and everything, it was so memorable. Touching on the design of it, I guess it's mainly the design of that character that's so catching and striking, but she does present much of the story, and her tone and presenting, she just makes you feel safe in a dangerous land. That's the best way I can say it. She makes you feel safe.
Soundtrack.
Which is
this one was
interesting.
Was a very easy choice for me. So there was a game that Deus and I played a lot this year. Yeah. That every time we fired it up, there was at least one instance of God damn this soundtrack. And that game would be Risk of Rain 2.
Yeah, there was an obligatory goddamn this soundtrack every single time we played it. And if all we can say every time we play the game is goddamn this soundtrack, then you just gotta be Risk of Rain 2. God damn that soundtrack.
Oh, good.
Like, what can I say?
What, how many hours did we hit? 200 hours in this game yet? Risk of Rain 2, yes, 210 hours. Still not tired of the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, not at all. I was actually just thinking we should play it again for soundtrack, if nothing else. There's no new builds to do, but it's a fun game. Just go for all speed.
It gets so ridiculous so fast.
Okay, if you haven't played Risk of Rain 2 yet, go get all the items, go unlock the stuff, and then here's how you play. You take the little nemesis, the mask, little disciple, and then you just build for move speed until it's useless.
Yep. So how Little Disciple works, for those of us who haven't played Risk of Rain 2, is it fires projectiles off you based on your movement speed. So the faster you go, the more damage they deal and the faster they shoot. But there comes a point where you're going so fast that you're not near anything for long enough for them to shoot. It becomes useless. And it's wonderful because you have no control over your character at that point.
However, Pseudo had a different opinion.
Yeah, I think you pasted in the wrong column on the thing on the side. I ended up going with Doom Eternal. I do really enjoy Risk of Rain 2's soundtrack. I haven't played enough of it to really kind of enjoy it a whole lot, as much as I should have, but I played quite a bit of Eternal, and it's mostly just from like a preference standpoint of just like the combat is just complemented so well with Doom Eternal's soundtrack, and its soundtrack is something that I listen outside of the game as well, which was kind of an important part for me. And it's when you do those, wow, I can't remember what the gates are called.
Slayer gates.
Slayer gates, thank you. You do the Slayer gates, just everything that's going on, just that the music just adds so much to it. And there's been times where I'll kind of play the game if I've got like a podcast on or something that I want to finish. I'll turn the volume down and play the game, and it just loses so much of its feeling. And I'm like, I can't do this. This is a game I have to just have the soundtrack cranked for it, so I get that full rip and tear feel of just that gritty brutalness of the experience.
I mean, it got its own genre name. It's demon killing music.
Yep.
And I think it fits. I think it fits. Yeah, absolutely heightened. Doom Eternal, close second on my list. Absolutely close second.
The Doom Eternal soundtrack is pretty fucking fantastic. It's just that it doesn't quite stand up to the Doom 2016 soundtrack to me.
Yeah.
I preferred the Doom 2016 soundtrack, and it being sort of in Doom 2016's shadow did lessen my enjoyment of it.
That's fair. I think I preferred the 2016 soundtrack as well. However, I can still just put on Eternal and listen to it and enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
It's still
great.
just fantastic, and it does heighten the experience of the game immensely. Yes. Fantastic ad. Is there anything else that needs an honorable mention? How about chat? What do you guys think for best music, your favorite music throughout the year? Not the best, your favorite.
I would like to add a little nostalgia category to favorite soundtrack and say Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake.
It's a remake, it qualifies. I'm with that. I'm good. I can throw that as a third. I'm not a big fan of the games, but yeah, I listened to all that. That was my skating music.
No, Board only played the one 2020 game.
Love all of Animal Crossing's soundtrack. Interesting. Simple music,
Animal
but easy to
Crossing
listen to.
Eternal.
Oh, you said the name of the song, DMCA.
Hi, Val.
Virgil's theme in
DMC
DMC5.
5. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, so a little bit of DMC5. DMCA5. Yeah.
Mario Kart 64. I don't believe that's in the Switch pack, because there's that new pack of the N64 Mario games. But I don't think it's in that pack.
It's also not a remake.
If it was, then we could include it.
No, it's a remaster, not a remake then. Remastered emulation.
True.
They did release the augmented reality Mario Kart this year, I think. Not sure if you guys have seen that or not.
I have not. That sounds great.
They came on the Switch. You like build your own track and then drive the little cart through it.
Yeah, and it costs $500 to play because every player needs a Switch, and then you need to buy the stupid game and the remote control cars.
Yeah, I've not played it, but it looks neat. It's a cool idea, but my god, is it expensive. But yeah, so Switch is weird for me. Most of the time I play my Switch, I either on the go or I'm on the couch or something watching with this TV on or something. That's I usually actually never have the audio on, which is kind of wild. My Twitch chat is breaking and I'm scared. Emotes don't load anymore. And then they're erroring everywhere, and if I click on one, I get little ghosts that pop up.
Uh-oh. I suggest not clicking on things.
It just says failed to load module. I don't want to know. I can move the ghosts around. Okay.
The Switch is this generation's Neo Geo.
You're not wrong, Val. You're not wrong.
They would, but then they would just get DMCA'd.
You're not wrong either. That's the funniest thing about it. You're not wrong.
Sad times. It's only going to get worse. So, I don't know.
Favorite hidden gems. No, it's unfortunate that we have two of the same answer, because I love sharing hidden gems with people. But I'm not surprised that we both used the same answer.
Yeah, it's kind of the game that we played the most in 2020.
Yeah, Risk of Rain 2 absolutely got that one. Probably Carrion.
Carrion.
I didn't get to play Carrion, but I might try it now that if you're saying it's your favorite of the year. That makes it a little more interesting, and it's a cheap pickup.
Anybody play the new Meat Boy yet? I haven't had a chance to try it.
Oh, I should.
I'm not a big fan of that style typically. I know Meat Boy is kind of special though. You're a little too far from your mic, or your interface decided to kaputs.
No, I'm far away. I lean back.
There you go.
Should be better.
However, I'm glad Pseudo had a different answer, and I knew he would, because he always has something interesting to tell people that they should go play this game. And you know what? I'm gonna agree with him.
It's super cool. I would have put Teardown on here, but it didn't release this year. I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's probably still in early access. But there was quite a few little indie games that came out this year. Another one, or I should probably just name my first one. It's a Superliminal.
It's a weird game.
It is wild. It's, I don't know how to fully describe it. I'm gonna say non-Euclidean space, but that doesn't help at all. Basically, the premise of the game is that when you grab objects,
I got you here. Hold on.
Yeah, depending on the perspective of where you drop them is now the new size of the object. So if you walk up to a wall and you're really close and you drop it, it'll be small.
Oh, damn it, YouTube.
And drop it, it'll be quite large, and you use that to kind of solve puzzles.
Oh, never mind. That is the trailer for the game. I thought I was playing an ad. There you go. Game trailer.
Watch my ad.
Your life will always be a struggle.
Oh, wait a minute. It's not on my screen.
You gotta switch to the right source, though.
I should switch source here, shouldn't I? Okay, let's go to the panel. You can actually watch this. There you go.
My name is Dr.
Just a weird game.
Very, very, very cool.
Be a struggle. Isn't that why you came here?
You pick up the house and then walk away so it gets bigger so you can walk inside of it.
The wild thing is, depending on how big you make that house, is how tall you will be inside of it. So you can have really funky stuff happening while you do that.
Comfort of our flagship clinic.
Yeah, it's a neat little puzzler. I thought I unfortunately found some glitches which kind of broke it for me in fun, interesting ways. You can jump on something and then jump and hold it, and then you'll keep increasing the size of that, so you can kind of use that to like climb your way out of places and just do silly things. But yeah, there's a lot of really interesting like visual tricks they pull off on you, and it is just a wild experience. And it's got a bit of a story. It gets kind of deep near the end, and I'm not going to. I won't spoil too much, but it starts. It's got a really nice message at the end, and it was a really pleasant experience. I think like you can beat it. You can beat it under an hour, and you can speed run it in like 35 minutes or something as an achievement for it. It took me a bit of a while because I just like to dick around in games. Like I kept stacking things. I'm like, how can I break this? And there was a part where you walk in like a galaxy room, and I'm like, I wonder if there's a ceiling. So I grab a box and start doing my jump on the box glitch to like make it infinitely large. And eventually I hit the ceiling. I'm like, haha, there is a ceiling. Like, can I glitch through it?
The answer is yes.
Many times I'm like, oh, let's see what happens if I do this, or what happens if I take this object I'm not supposed to take with me and I get it into this room with me. So I spent a lot of time like messing around, but it's a nice little short experience. It should probably go on sale for a while, but it is good. Really, really, really enjoyed it. Even just on a technical note of like, this is really cool. How the hell are they doing this?
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to say is I would love to take a peek at the source code on how they did that. Because that's really cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. It was funny at times where I'd make going through a door and I'd make it slightly too small, so I'd go through it. I have to go through another door inside. I'm like, well, now I'm too tall to get through the door, so I have to go back out and make the whole world slightly bigger so I can go back in and be the right size.
Now I have to wonder if Pseudo was ever a playtester. Yeah, he's playtested his own games. Lots.
Yeah. I really enjoy breaking games. And just stuff in software, it extends to like even just my software, just programming in general. QA is just like think outside the box and like breaking stuff. Like, can this break? What if I do this? And it's like, oh, And then people ask, well, why'd you do that? And I don't know.
Because I wanted to see if I could break it.
If I did it, someone else is going to do it, so you got to fix it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And there's actually one of the most interesting things I learned when I started working in software and QA and stuff like that is there is a fairly reliable formula for how many eyes look at your software compared to how many bugs will be found by them. And it works fairly universally. Yeah.
That's why QA is so important and so difficult. Like, people give QA a lot of flack, say, oh, not as cool as being a programmer or not as important. No. QA is way more important. You need way more QA people than you need engineers.
You look at the developer side, and there's always at least a couple that will even submit code that doesn't even work. And it's going to take, you're going to need a few sets of good eyes finding all the reasons that their code doesn't work. Trust me.
And what typically happens is that you get kind of used to, you have a bias that you just kind of get used to doing, and you don't do certain things in a certain way, and everyone thinks they idiot proof something. And what I like to say is that, the world will always create new idiots, and most of the time that's me. I am that new idiot that will come in and burst stuff. It's like, yeah, you didn't think I was going to do that, did you? I'm like, I didn't think I was going to do that either, but here I am doing it. I don't know. Half the time when I was doing QA, it's like, yeah, I caused a system crash. Like, what'd you do? I'm like, I'm not too sure, but I think it was when I clicked on this thing, typed in the entire works of Shakespeare, and then tried to click and drag it into this thing, and then ran a script on it, or ran the command to execute it. And they're like, well, why'd you do that? I'm like, well, I don't know, but I found out that, if we have more than this many characters, it'll explode and take down the entire server, so we should probably fix that.
That is the perfect response.
Because if there is a capability in your software to do something like that, somebody's going to do it.
Yeah,
it's like, it may not be the exact use case, but it'll be close enough. Or things of like, what happens if I try to put scripts in here? Oh, I can enter text. What if I put a script? And you'd be surprised on how many web pages, if you put a script tag in, all of a sudden you get a little alert that pops up like, oh, that's the alert I scripted. Cool. I can inject code. Neat.
Yeah, that's called cross-site scripting, and it's very dangerous, and people need to be aware of it.
This even happens in scripts. I was once given a script to gather log data and put it into a folder. And how the guy had written the script was, you type in the folder that you want to do it, and it puts everything in the folder and then compresses it all and then deletes the original folder, so it makes it nice and clean. And I was asked to convert this to a different script language. So as I'm going through it, I get through, and luckily they left it in. It's my favorite comment of all time. There's a commented outline with a comment below it. It was, remove the folder that they've done this in and get rid of it to make it clean. However, that translates to RM forcibly, because you don't want any prompts, and recursively. So RM-RF. And
which is the most dangerous command to run on any Unix-based system.
And then they stick it, just run that on the variable given at the beginning. So that's commented out, and then underneath is a comment saying, don't do this in capitals. What if they did it to root?
Wipe the entire drive.
You literally would have run a script to gather log data and wiped out your entire server. Like, whew, yeah. QA, thank you QA.
Another quick thing about another hidden gem, but it's early access, which is Teardown. I'm not sure if people have seen it, but it's a voxel-based kind of physics sandbox, which I've enjoyed immensely, and it's one of the few games I've actually left a review on in Steam. And since it's early access, there are a few bugs, and I wasn't sure if it was a bug or not, but the main story, it's kind of like a bit of speedrunning stuff where you kind of, depending what the mission is, so one of them is you have to basically steal a bunch of cars and load a bunch of cars into a truck, and there's alarms attached to the car, so the moment you get in a car and drive it away and the rope breaks, the alarm triggers, and you only have I think a minute to get as many cars as you can, so you try to find the optimal path. And what I ended up doing was well, what happens if I take the welder tool, the cutting tool, and I cut I cut that section of the car out, and then the rope didn't break. I'm like, okay, So I just went through and did that all the cars. And if you do it too small, I think there was code there that would detect that it would get cut, or like if it's separated from the main object, it would just trigger the alarm. But I found that the size you need, the optimal angles you need to actually do that. So for the most time, it just worked. So my speed runs were a couple seconds because I would just park all the cars in front of the where we're supposed to do it, and then just get in and drive them 1 centimeter forward into the end, and be yeah, it only took me a couple seconds to do this whole thing on all the cars. And fun little exploits.
Awesome. Yeah, I've followed that game a little bit. Didn't look like my kind of game, but looked very, very creative and an excellent use of the voxel engine. Missing the wonky stuff? Maybe. I don't know. Wonky stuff.
You're talking about Twitch. Twitch is having issues.
Yeah. It does that. Oh, right. Yeah, your emotes being broken. That happens. That happens.
And people are, I've been getting a lot of, and just in general, a lot of people are having issues lately. They're having outages. Fun times.
Yeah.
Feel bad for the on-context.
So that brings us to, and I'll start with our favorite PC game of the year. And this is specifically if you're playing on a PC. Basically, we're saying, in our opinion, if you have a PC and you haven't played this game, you're doing it wrong. It is a must play. And if you have a PC, you've got to play Doom Eternal. It's a must do. I'm not a big shooter fan. I'm not going to call it a shooter game. I like to call games transcendent, when they hit a certain point where it doesn't matter if you like the genre or not. It's not that genre. Just play it and you'll like it. It's just such a well done game. You'll enjoy it. Still haven't played the Doom Eternal DLC. Neither have I still. And I really want to.
Neither have we. None of us have. Because what we did is we fired up the first stage of the Doom Eternal DLC, got our ass kicked, and went, I need to relearn how to play this game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to just play the whole thing through one time fresh, and then I'll be ready for the DLC, because it is no joke. It does not start out slow. DLC is hey, this is where you left off, right? Okay, go.
And it'll kick your ass.
Oh, yeah.
In moments. Sorry, board. RageBot is currently dead for a rebuild.
And Pseudo.
Yeah. Mine is kind of, I'm not sure it would be everyone's cup of tea, but I also just wanted something a bit distinct from, it probably would have been Doom Eternal for PC, but for me it's going to be Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's just kind of been my favorite game overall, and I really wish I would have played it when it came out in November, but it was school, and then December was Cyberpunk and the end of school, and I just got around to it now, and it's, I'm itching. I'm itching all the time. There's been a while since the game has had me just kind of itching to see what's next or see what's coming in. Like I said, it's not always going to be everyone's cup of tea, because it is very cinematic heavy.
Yeah,
it's probably 70 to 80% just cinematic and cutscenes, but they're fantastic, and there's quite a bit of mini games, so you kind of have to grinding through just random pointless mini games, which for some reason I do. I just like to dick around with random stuff.
I love stuff like that too. I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's I'm still at the beginning, but I spent an hour just grinding out. You can level up some of the mini games now, and they added a bunch of stuff. It's fantastic. I really love what they've added. And if you've played any of the Yakuza games before and you've enjoyed them, I highly recommend playing this one. Howling God will probably understand a bit more than me, but so far, for what I'm seeing, there's not too. You'd get a bit more of a better experience if you've played 5 and 6, but I don't think it's 100% necessary. They do fill in some gaps, and if you're kind of confused what's going on, you can always kind of go and read a synopsis to see who certain people are. But for the most part, you don't absolutely need those games as a prerequisite. There is quite a bit going on, and it explains most of it very well.
Okay, but it would still be better. That's going to be hard. I'm just going to have to play a lot of Yakuza soon.
Not the worst thing in the world.
No,
I'm trying to Yeah, I think it might be later on in the game, maybe, because I haven't fully beaten it. And it's a very long game, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if like when I finish it, I'll let you know. But it may not be 100% required. You might be able to get away with a little bit if I've been playing 5 or 6.
A duck, welcome, and like a Dragon Quest is kind of perfect, really, from what I'm hearing.
I'm surprised that they
pretty
were
much spot on.
able to directly reference it so much. Kind of at least there's some friendship in between the studios there.
Well, they're both published by the same publisher, aren't they?
I don't think so. Because I've heard some other people talk about this too, and I think they're very respectful of the game too. So it's not anything negative, and it's kind of just free advertisement for Dragon Quest series, which just had a new title come out. So it might be a bit of a partnership. But yeah, because they could have easily just named any other game that is in Sega's library or gone back to some classic games or something like that. But it's nice that they kept it kind of modern, and it just makes it so much more relatable.
Yeah,
it's something that the game takes place like around this time, so it makes sense to be referencing these games.
Excellent.
And my choice for favorite PC game should not come as a shock to anybody ever. It's Doom Eternal.
Yep. That's. I mean, there's just so much you can say about the game. Just as a game as a whole, we've talked about the music already. We didn't talk about the visual style and the design of it, but the game is beautiful. And they made a new engine to pull off what they've done. They created a new system for doing blood and gore in first-person games that allowed them to do it in a high FPS and have it be gorgeous at the same time. They created a new compression system so that they can compress their assets and access them, so Doom Eternal is smaller than Doom 2016. Like, where do we stop? Where do we stop with this game?
I think the experience for Doom Eternal, for me anyway, can be summed up as the feeling that I had the first time I finished a Slayer Gate. What I did is I tabbed out of the game, took a drink of water, went into Discord and typed, "Why isn't every game ever just Doom Eternal Slayer Gates? They would be better video games."
If I remember, your words were, "Every game should be Slayer Gates."
Yeah, right. That sounds accurate. That sounds like something I would say.
A little less articulate, and then you just got back to the game. But I understand. I have time for these words. I must play.
Yeah, it is by far my favorite playing video game. It runs so well that people don't benchmark with it because it'll run at like 500 FPS no matter what you do.
Yeah. I love that. You can't benchmark with it because it runs too well.
It's such a good game, and it did such an incredible job capturing the feel of the old school Doom games like Doom 1 and Doom 2 in a 3D environment with tons of crazy weapons and wacky movement and power-ups, and you're constantly cycling through your weapons, through your equipment, just jumping back and forth, dash, dash, dash. Okay, I've got enough space here that I can actually shoot Gauss rifle, super shotgun, rocket launcher, dash, dash, dash.
I'm just hyped for what is going to come next with them, with the access of like direct storage and stuff. Imagine a Doom-like game with 0 loading screens. No matter crazy stuff they can pull off with that.
I look forward to that.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's the perfect ADHD game.
Nah, it's just the perfect video game. It's just
hard as hell with ADHD, man. As someone who has it, there's a lot to keep track of. It's like, oh, I'm out of ammo. It's like, oh, you have to pay a whole lot of attention, which I'm not used to, because most games you kind of just like, all right, I got to click on their heads, and that's basically just muscle memory at this point, so I don't got to put too much thought into it. And this game's like, no, you got to know what the hell is going on, and it was nice, and it's designed so very well and scoped so very well that it's not too egregious, and everything is like purposeful, and they really kind of spoon feed you for a while there to get you used to it. But not too easy that you're just kind of like, well, I'm bored. It's Yeah, it's for PC. It's a close second for me. It is a very enjoyable experience. I could see it being very frustrating on consoles, though.
Yeah, it starts out as
part was actually learning to use all of the equipment in the game and having to come up with mnemonics. I'd just be like, R is for armor, C is for keep shooting.
Yeah, it gave me the feel of like playing a simple MMO, but at full speed shooter speed.
You're like class rotation, but as a shooter.
Yeah, MMOs are complex, but you've got a 1 second global cooldown to work with, so typically you have about a second between abilities to think about what you're doing. If you stop for a second to think about something in Doom Eternal, you're already dead. That's
At least on the proper difficulty.
Yeah. On the top difficulties where we're playing, if you stop for a second, you're dead. If you want to get better at shooters, play Doom Eternal and just turn the difficulty up until you start dying in combat. It'll make you get better.
It really enforces the strafe to aim, which is very key in most shooters. But this one just really kind of hammers in because you do have to strafe around to shoot everything.
That and don't look at the ground ever. Keep your guns at head height.
Unless rocket jumping.
Yeah. There's specials in there still. It's basically Ninja Gaiden on Master Ninja difficulty. Sit still even a second and you get exploded.
Accurate.
That's another game Rage loved.
By the way. I cleared Ninja Gaiden Black on Master Ninja. I didn't even have the unlabored flawlessness bullshit to pull me through it. That was hard. Took me a long time.
R is the flamethrower. It gives you armor. Yep. And I think that's enough Doom Eternal for now. On to the PlayStation. And Val, I'm really interested to know what your favorite PlayStation game of 2020 is. You play more PlayStation 4 than anybody I know. So PlayStation 4 game. There's a 4 missing in there, isn't there?
Yeah, and we specifically did not include the PlayStation 5 in this list because it's only been out for a couple of months and most people don't have one.
Yep. Yep. All three of us have played precisely 0 PS5 games, or probably even watched 0. So I don't have.
I've watched 1.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah, my favorite PS4 game is one that I have already given an award to this year because I just enjoyed it so dang much, and it's Ghost of Tsushima. And for me, it really came down to with these console choices rather than giving a game of the year for, just overall. It forced me to think more about like input methods and the different things that you can do with a controller rather than a PC, but being with the keyboard and mouse as your default input. So for me, the Ghost of Tsushima wins based on the fact that it's gorgeous. It has a really cool story. It has a really cool setting. It has some pretty all right combat. Not the greatest, pretty all right. And it being an exclusive to the PlayStation series means it gets my PlayStation Game of the Year.
And I would have to agree. Ghost of Tsushima, if you're on the PS4, probably one of the best experiences you're gonna get this year for 2020 playing new games. The combat kind of reminds me of, if it has an almost Witcher feel, less floaty. It
reminded me of a more melee focused Horizon Zero Dawn.
I was going to say that too as well. It's like a swap on Horizon Zero Dawn. You're much more limited in arrows. They're much more powerful and effective. and then it pushes you more towards the sword. Also, if you played Sekiro and just found it way too ungodly hard and wanted something simpler and easier, not as complex, and give you that god feeling where you can just murder fields of people in the same kind of setting, that hits it. It's pretty good. It's almost there. The controls in Ghost were good overall, but it still commits the cardinal sin of assigning too many high priority actions to one button. I agree. Yeah, controllers are controllers. I also don't like the face buttons being attack, just as a personal thing.
Now that you're used to Souls.
Let me control my camera, and the camera does nothing for you in the game, and that's about my only complaint about it. While I'm in combat, I'll be turning around, and all of a sudden I have to stop and hit my camera, and now I can't attack. Hurry up and find the enemies, and yeah, it's okay. But as a game as a whole, pace is great, fantastic story, beautiful setting, lovely to play. It's a fairly non-friction game. It's not going to give you a lot of challenge. It's a nice story and a relaxing experience. And if that's what you're after, it's a fantastic game. Fantastic game.
Yeah, I'm sad I haven't checked it out yet. I've been meaning to, but my backlog is just brutal. And I don't even know the last time I actually plugged in my PS4. It's been a bit. And thinking about it, there hasn't been too many. I don't think there was that many exclusives this year. I know there was The Last of Us Part 2.
I don't think it has to be an exclusive. Just the best game on that console.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like the one I ended up choosing is an exclusive, but I like to find the exclusives if possible, if they're great. But it also, with it being end of life and the PS5 coming out, it probably didn't make sense for them to hire a bunch of devs to make the exclusive for this console, and then kind of, they probably wanted to have everyone working on just PS5 exclusives at that point, or have it PS5 first and then retroactively to PS4. But also, this whole year has just been kind of all over the place. I ended up going with Yakuza again. It's on PS4 as well, and most of the Yakuza games originally were just PlayStation exclusives. It was actually quite a while until they started porting them over to PC. And it's nice because the PC ports have been actually really good, at least from my experience so far. And this game does feel like it was properly made on PC. Well, it didn't feel like it was a port or a PS4 game then a PC. It plays well on everything. It has been a fantastic experience to get 160 frames in a Yakuza game. I've played I think every Yakuza game I've played has been on PlayStation. This is the first one that I've been able to play on PC, but if it wasn't for it, I would definitely be playing on a PlayStation 4, and it would definitely still get my favorite game.
Yeah, it's definitely one that's on my list of ones to play. It must be done. And it might have beaten Ghost of Tsushima if I had played it. But the best that I've played.
Sushi Ghost is quite
Sushi
good.
Ghost is a solid entry too. Played both of those. And I didn't realize Neo 2 was 2020 release. Neo 2 definitely deserves an honorable mention. Not really my game. I'd probably enjoy it if I sat down and started playing it. But I don't know how into it I'd get.
I enjoyed hopping into Val's stream and just being like, so what's good about this game? Because a lot of people really like it and I don't get it. I was able to very articulately supply answers to that, which was pretty cool. It's still not the game for me, but I totally understand why people enjoy it now.
It seems to remind me a lot of the combat style reminds me of Ninja Gaiden.
No.
Just from watching it.
It is like ripped straight out of Tenchu.
Yeah, I didn't play much Tenchu, so I can't comment from there. March feels like last year. It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Everything from there feels like it's been its whole separate year from March onward.
Tenchu was more stealth game, and I didn't gravitate to the stealthies. Combat looks like Ninja Gaiden. With how fast it is, it definitely controls way more complex. Ninja Gaiden had a lot of combos, is what I was remembering. This just seemed like a greater evolution of the same combos, getting more complex. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, it is unfortunately not the same feel. If it was the same feel, I would probably like it, but it is not.
Yeah. So I guess you've actually played it.
I played a bit of Neo 1, and they just sort of evolved from Neo 1
Yeah.
with the combat systems in 2. And if it's your bag, they did quite a good job, but it is not my bag.
Definitely worth a try if you haven't tried them. Put it that way. And moving in to our final, the Xbox
favorite Xbox One game. And like I said, with regards to my favorite PlayStation 4 game, it did come down to what games feel best on the input method with Xbox One, because Xbox One didn't have much, if any, exclusive games. They often came to PC either at the same time at launch or shortly afterwards, and I ended up just playing them on PC. But because of how well my choice of game works in specifically with a controller, and the fact that it did come out on the Xbox One, made it a fairly easy choice for me, and that choice is Mortal Shell.
Very, very good game. Not long. Beautiful introduction teaser taster to Souls games because it's new, it's pretty, it's easy to pick up and play, and it's actually not that difficult. It's got all the right concepts in it. It teaches you the basics, but it's not super difficult. It won't be as frustrating as jumping right into like Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3.
Plus, the hardening mechanic is just super dope.
Super fun to play with, yeah. Very interesting touch. Lots of goods. I was definitely a fan. I greatly enjoyed my playthrough, if anybody remembers it on stream. You didn't have long to catch it, because I beat it in 2 days, but it was a good game. RageBot may never get revived, but the command will. Don't worry.
Yeah, the backlog will be restored at some point in the future, but RageBot was broken, and I don't necessarily have time to fix it. So at some point, there's going to be a rewrite into a client that Deus can just run on his machine rather than running on a server in the cloud. But I have no guarantees when that's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's fair. It happens. It will eventually get fixed. Until then, we'll have it written down, and I will... Actually, I thought I had a backlog command.
We need to find all the Dragon Balls.
I do.
Back.
I don't know why it didn't run for you.
You have to complete 10 David Cage QTEs in a row to fix RageBot. Nobody can do that.
God damn it. Damn you, David Cage. Everything is set up to work. There's only one possible solution. Yup. Okay. Twitch decided to invalidate my bot token again.
Lovely.
Yeah, they do that.
So we'll get that fixed for next stream. But yeah, there is a backlog command. It's just they killed my token. You don't think you have. You probably have. There was a bunch of them.
They're not bad games. We just like to rip on them.
They're more like interactive movies.
True. This is a true statement.
They're like the modern day Dragon's Lair, basically.
Favorite replay? Oh, that's a very easy award to give, and it'll be the same game every year. Bloodborne.
Favorite, or do I don't, or favorite like replay from stream? But if it's just favorite game to replay, yeah, Bloodborne.
That's too difficult of a question for me.
No,
I play
Bloodborne.
It jumps around so much for me.
The only reason I play Sekiro so much is because Sekiro is on PC and I'm always on my PC. When Bloodborne's taken out of the equation, it becomes Sekiro.
If Bloodborne ever comes to PC, I'm just going to become a Bloodborne streamer.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
There's hope for a remaster or a remake that would also release on PC. Maybe not anytime too soon, but it can happen. I'm very stoked with the Yakuza games being on everything now, not just exclusives.
Yeah, I'm with you. How we got PC port, please, please.
A proper PC port too. None of this Horizon shit that happened.
No. It would be unplayable. It would be unplayable that way.
Just give it to Bluepoint.
Yep.
Just give it to Bluepoint. Just do it.
Hey, Bluepoint, we need you to make this, but 60 FPS locked. Thanks. I'm fine with the lock. The game probably needs it to keep everything synced up. It's going to be a lot of work. They're using the 30 FPS lock for a reason. I guarantee you there's a lot of stuff running off of that. If they just up the frame rates randomly, stuff will break. We have many Dark Souls 1 PC ports.
Yeah, good old DS fix. Infamous DS fix.
Yeah. Also remove ROM. I'm with you, Val. Just take that fight out.
ROM's not terrible.
No, it's really not. It is nowhere near as bad or as offensive as Demon of Hatred. It just doesn't suit the game.
I like the strangeness of it.
Yeah,
I love
ROM's
it.
not a hard fight. It's just, like Val says, tedious, and it just doesn't really suit the rest of the game.
It's thematically makes sense why it doesn't suit the rest of the game, but that's okay. We won't get into Bloodborne lore, or we won't finish within a half an hour.
True.
I'm gonna do another Bloodborne lore run. It's coming up. I haven't played Bloodborne in too long. Let's grab a weapon and play through Bloodborne again and talk about lore as we do it, and it'll be fun. But it'll come. It'll come. It will come. Until then, what was your favorite Xbox One game, Pseudo?
To surprise no one, it's going to have to be Yakuza. Mostly because it's now the most recent Yakuza game that also just got released on Xbox consoles, which I'm very stoked for. The remakes are still coming out, and if you haven't played the previous Yakuza games and you want to play them, probably play them first, because playing the you can still play 7 because it is fairly standalone, but it will spoil a lot of stuff that happens earlier in the series. But if you're not too interested in going back and playing the remakes, since I think most of the remakes, they're available for Xbox now too. I don't think the Yakuza 6 remake doesn't come out until March of this year for Xbox and PC. But overall, if I was to be playing a game on Xbox right now, it would just be this game. I'm so stoked that it's on everything. I no longer just have to haul around my PS4 just to play Yakuza games. I can now play them on my other systems. It is probably one of my most favorite franchises of all time. It's wild. There's so many of them, and they just consistently just keep doing it. I thought I would get burnt out of them, but yeah, it's been a while since, I can't remember when 6 was. 6 isn't too old, but them going in this new direction, I can see an entirely different spin-off now of the typical beat 'em up Yakuzas, as well as this new kind of JRPG style of Yakuzas. And there's going to be so many more of them, and I am excited. I need to play Judgment. I keep forgetting it exists somehow. I need to just write that down, or set a daily alarm being like, play Judgment. So for that. And life happens.
The life of ADHD, huh? Set a daily alarm to remind you to play a game.
My Google DNS is down. Cool.
Oh,
My internet.
Wow. Google DNS went down.
It's probably just
The internet is failing.
So the XP1, I like this because we all actually had a different answer for it, which is great. That doesn't happen very often. It turns out we agree a fair bit. We've played a couple different games. Visual style was all different. I like that. But yeah, Xbox One, in my mind, I agree. Shooters aren't typically for a console, but when you look at all the games on Xbox One, most people buy Xbox One to play shooters. That's why most people buy them. They're the shooter console. And if you're gonna buy it to play shooters and you don't play Doom Eternal, you're doing it wrong. You are.
True.
So it's the shooter console, play Doom Eternal. If you can't handle it on the high difficulties, turn it down. It becomes super playable. What have you done, Pseudo? What is that?
The lighting seems to have changed.
The tab. My
your monitor is your lighting, and you opened a darker tab. Got it. Video editing. All right. Shooters, racing, and sports. Yeah, and I guess there were some good racing games, but nothing.
I wanted to put in Forza Horizon 4, but that wasn't a 2020 game.
But I don't think anything really comes anywhere near comparison to Doom Eternal in all the innovations that they've done in order to improve gaming for everybody. How can you not give a Game of the Year on those marks? It's great.
Oh yeah, if we had to pick an overall Game of the Year, without a doubt, mine would be Doom Eternal. Straight up.
Yeah.
And Pseudo's would probably be Like a Dragon.
But it was. I ended up putting it in every category.
That's true. That's true. Yep. Yeah, for an overall, yeah, Doom Eternal for me as well. Just, like I said, the innovation. The things that other people don't see. No, it's not.
I don't know how
it's
it
not,
happened.
and it never will be, and that's the best part.
The new Avengers game. Somehow, so like when I said my Google died, it was my DNS server, and somehow one of my other servers turned on, and they both had the same IP at the same time.
Yeah, that's I've seen that happen before. I don't
know why or how, but no, I don't like computers.
The school I worked at before tried to install a new domain controller, and the domain had a different name, but the server didn't. And they wanted to run them in parallel for a while. I was like, that's not a good idea. You shouldn't do that. Of course, I'm just a contractor. I'm not in the union, so they went ahead and did it, and I had to support it. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we're going to end a little early. I think that's how it's going to go. Because my throat's already getting a little dry. Been sucking on Halls this whole time.
We could discuss some of our the upcoming games for 2021 and anything that we're kind of excited for.
Yeah. Is there any other news that's happened recently? I don't think there's a lot of news going on in the gaming world.
Probably is. I've probably also just been checking too much. All I know is Twitch is having issues. There's been outages kind of around for a lot of people.
I'll be right back. I have to use the washroom. You guys keep going.
No problem. But yeah, games coming out in 2021. I had a list, and then when my server killed everything, I lost it. So it's reload that. But there are actually some. I'm actually stoked for quite a few games coming out. Pretty
really
too, yeah. But, maybe not for everyone, but these are just like some of the games that I like. Like Hitman 3 is coming out in the end of the month, and I'm actually pretty stoked for that. I've always been a bit of a Hitman fan, but it was very niche, and the latest Hitman kind of really upped the ante and made it a bit more approachable for most people. And it looks like Hitman 3 is going to do the same thing for that as well. I could see that going or being pretty big as long as they don't kind of mess it up too much. I was kind of on a decent trajectory with how, because with Hitman 2, or I think it was 2, not Absolution, but they kind of will hold your hand a bit more for what was going on. They don't just kind of drop you in, which was a big problem with the Hitman games, where they'll drop you in and most players are like, well, what the hell do I do? And it doesn't really tell you in any proper sense. You're kind of just supposed to know from previous games. Yeah, you walk around and find things to do. It's a puzzle. At least with this one, they will walk you through, okay, this is one path you can do through the game. also there's about 8 or 9 different ways or something to beat this level, and it's kind of the game of people who like that replayability, since even though it's the same setting, the different ways you beat these levels are actually quite different because you're interacting with different characters and they're different results. And some are completely silent, you don't trigger anything, and some are quite loud, but you cause quite commotions. I think one's like a racing track, and you can cause all the cars on the track to just basically crash and explode, and it takes out your target. Or you can just wait until they get out of the car and just kind of poison them. So there's different ways, but which way you do them results or requires different gear, and requires you to talk to certain people with certain costumes, and it's fun to explore. The same thing, you'd think that playing the same level would be kind of weird and boring, but they've kind of found a way to have these completely different paths that it doesn't feel like it's the same level. It's just kind of like it's taking place in similar settings, but the actual game paths are so different. So that's one game I'm looking forward to. There's quite a bit of games that were delayed until this year, like Halo. I'm actually kind of looking forward to Halo. I was unsure previously from the newest games, but after playing Halo 4 with you guys, I haven't played Halo 5, but Infinite, I'm assuming, will actually be kind of fun. And the new Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, new RE I am super hyped for.
Yeah, RE8 I will absolutely be playing, and yeah, whatever you were just talking about, the name you just said, that just went.
Yeah, and then some other ones. There's a lot of might not be. I'm interested to see how Deathloop comes out. I'm not like getting hyped for it myself personally, but I think that it could be something that's kind of neat. I've heard about a lot of the tech they're using.
That's the new Arcane, right?
Deathloop. It's the new Dishonored-like game.
Yeah, Arcane Studios. I have to say, I have never liked anything that they've made.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I like Dishonored. Dishonored was okay.
I liked the concept of Dishonored a lot. The actual game was just like Skyrim with a new coat of paint.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Like, I just like those kind of open world, just jump around, explore, random bullshit games. But what I'm really more stoked for Deathloop is the tech with the PS5 controller, because I don't think anyone's really using that too much yet. And this game, from what reviewers have been saying, is when your gun jams, it jams the trigger, so you can't even pull the trigger. So you have immediate physical feedback rather than having to play the animation of your gun being jammed.
Yeah.
And certain guns where you'll pull the trigger, like if it's a double barrel shotgun with 2 barrels, the first trigger is light and the second trigger is a bit heavier. So if you want to do both barrels, it's a different feel, and I think that stuff's going to be really cool. And the game itself may not be, the bee's knees, the most fantastic thing coming out, but I think that the utilization of that tech is going to, kind of hit the news outlets, and I think it's going to kind of propel that tech to all the other developers out there being like, hey, this is what we can actually use with it. And I'm super stoked to see, that controller tech hit its, start hitting its peak and getting fully utilized.
When the PS5 was announced and they were talking about haptic feedback in the controllers, I was just like, oh, yes, yes. And everyone else that I was talking to that, just kind of follows the stuff is like, it's a controller. You just wait. I can't even explain it to you if you don't already get it. Just wait. And now that it's out, everybody's talking about the controller. You guys get a chance, try that Astros game on the PS5. Made to show you the features of the controller. Interesting.
I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty cool too. Eventually, when PS5s exist in Canada, I will be getting one. Yeah, but it's not so much like Astros just quite a bit, but it's like when you start getting the different genres of these shooters, when it gets in the hands of these developers, they really start thinking outside the box of stuff you can do. And I would love to see this, in the racing titles. I'd love to see it in even just like RPG games. They can add. There's so much utilization. I think this is what really stands the PS5 out as its console.
Yeah.
Xbox, yeah. I don't think can really do that anymore, which is fine. I think Xbox found their niche, which is capturing both the PC market and now the console market, not so much of trying to have exclusives anymore. So I think PS5 is the only place you will ever get any of these mechanics or anything like this.
Yeah, more touchpad utilization, said nobody ever. You know what everyone wants? It's another 6-axis controller.
Why don't we bump it up to 8? You now become the controller too. You must move everything.
a remake of House of the Dead 1 and 2. You got my attention. With the original House of the Dead in arcade game, me and my buddy played it to the point where we could pop 1 quarter in each and finish the game.
Real tasers to the controllers.
Actually, I think it was because of me and him that the place that it was got rid of the God of War machine, or House of the Dead machine. Reading God of War on screen. Because we would come in and pump 1 quarter into it and sit there and play it for like an hour and a half.
The games that I'm looking forward to in 2021, aside from RE8, which I totally forgot existed and then was reminded, I was like, oh my god, I need to play that game, are actually indie games. I'm really looking forward to Proteus. It's a pixel style Doom 2016 inspired shooter, and Ultra Kill.
Yep, I've got both of those on follow.
Is looking really interesting. I went and played the demo for it, and in order to get high scores in that game, you have to actually be really good at shooters. Like Pseudo, I think you should check out the demo for Ultra Kill. The guns just feel so good. They all handle so well. No, Ultra Kill is a very simplistic visual style, precision style driven shooter, like DMC, but a shooter. Like, it's really, really good. Go play the demo. The demo's free. Go get it. Go play it. Really excited for that game.
Yeah.
The one that you're thinking that's
what I wanted.
Heavy metal is either Metal Hellsinger, which is not out yet, coming out in 2021, or BPM, Bullets Per Minute, which was like a rhythm-based Binding of Isaac, except it's a shooter. It's okay. It's all right.
Hard to be excited about game when you want only one game above all others. Which one do you want? Yeah. But yeah, the one I'm really curious about, I really want to see where it goes, I really want to try it, but I'm not super hopeful for it, is Scorn. Legend of Dragoon remake. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I wish that would happen. I would play the shit out of that, but not going to happen.
I went back and replayed it, and it wasn't as good as I remembered. Sacrilege, huh? Well, 7 is far more likely to get a remake than that ever was. 7 was one of the biggest games of its era, period. It's the reason most people bought a PlayStation. Just flat out. Most people I knew in my life bought a PlayStation for 7. Yeah, I was there when it came out. I was a huge 6 fan. I loved 7, but I still like 6 more. I like 4 more as well. Redder games.
They're all really good games in their own way. 7 was hurt by the fact that it was a first-gen 3D game, honestly, because they had to spend so much time working on getting the 3D working and figuring out what they can actually do with the PS1. But it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, 13 wasn't even Final Fantasy anymore. The real Final Fantasy 13, actually the real Final Fantasy 12 is Lost Odyssey. And then Final Fantasy just dies when Lost Odyssey doesn't continue.
It just stops. Final Fantasy 10 was great, though.
Yes, it was. Game. That was the last Squaresoft Final Fantasy. They did 11. Squaresoft did 11 as well, but it's not a Final Fantasy still, because even though it got a number, it was MMO style. Great game, beautiful MMO, love their design choice on it, love a lot of their decisions, making it punishing and forcing community to form and evolve and people to work together, and that was wonderful. People don't really do that anymore. I miss all that. I miss you, Squaresoft. Come back, please. But at least we got
also
FromSoft.
Blizzard North.
Yeah, Blizzard North would be another one, but we got FromSoft. FromSoft is the new Squaresoft.
Yep.
So I got soft in it.
Yep.
And hopefully the new studio that a lot of the Blizzard North guys are forming will actually live up to Blizzard's reputation.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but it's not Blizzard North people still. It's just more old Blizzard.
It is quite a few of the Blizzard North folks, and those are the folks that made all of the good Blizzard games.
Yeah,
You guys seen Outriders at all?
I don't think so.
Outriders. No.
It's a 3-player co-op game coming from the creators of Bulletstorm.
Oh shit! I
Oh.
want to play that.
So yeah,
Outriders.
Okay, I have
too,
seen
but-
this, but I didn't realize it was from the creators of Bulletstorm, and I didn't realize it was 3-player. Okay, well, hey, you guys want to clear a weekend and do some Outriders together?
Hell yeah!
I'm anxious about it. I feel like it might be good, but I'm also worried.
Well, we'll just play together, and then no matter what, it'll be good.
Yeah, that's true. Here we
We
go.
got through Halo 3 together.
ODST.
ODST. That was the shit one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. 3 we had a lot of fun with. That's why we're kind of hyped for the next one.
Because it
4
looks,
we also had a good amount of fun with.
Oh yeah. No, it got better, didn't it? Didn't we like 4 more than 3? Yeah. They just keep getting better. So I'm actually kind of hyped. As long as they keep getting better.
they so Outriders comes up pretty soon. Looks cool. I'm also stoked for Dying Light 2. I played the first one quite a bit. It was kind of like what Dead Island should have been. And it was a pretty good time. At least co-op with friends. I played it solo for quite a while, and then co-op it just makes it stupidly silly. It's a solid title.
Yes, Scorn is one that I'm kind of watching, interested in. I don't have high hopes for the game, but it's got a great artistic style.
Gotcha.
Even though if you compare it, if you look at it and compare it to Geiger, apparently the artist, who's also the lead designer of the game, loses his shit at you. Like, he walked out of an interview when the guy asked him about a comparison of it and Geiger. He like stormed off about how it's not like Geiger. I don't know, man. You just type Scorn. You go type Scorn, and you look at those pictures, and you tell me that ain't Geiger.
Back for Blood. This is only really if people liked Left 4 Dead, and I know a lot of people don't, but I really love playing that game. There's Back for Blood, which is from the original creators of Left 4 Dead, and it looks just like another Left 4 Dead game, but more modern, which I'm kind of stoked for. 2021 seems like it's going to be a lot of really good co-op games, which is nice because we'll probably still be at home for quite a while, so it'll be nice to be able to play games with a lot of friends still.
Oh yeah, this just looks like modern Left 4 Dead.
Yep. Same creators, isn't it?
The original ones, yeah.
Yep.
So it's I don't think it's not published by Valve anymore, but I think it's from the original team of at least maybe from the mod era. But it looks solid, at least for the pre-alpha stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of multiplayer games I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I didn't get into any of the Left 4 Deads because I didn't really have anyone to play with, and they were mostly on controller, but I'd love to dive into some on PC with you guys. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's most definitely a game that you have to have the multiplayer for. And I mean, I know we usually say that that's not a good thing with the game, but this game is definitely designed around being like a co-op shooter. The AI, even in the Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, the AI is pretty ass. It's annoying as hell. They get stuck on ledges and stuff all the time, where they just like, you'll get something, they got a jockey jumping on your head, and it just rides you away. And the AI just kind of like run after you, like, I don't know what to do. Do I shoot it? Do I hit it? We're just gonna wait for you to die. And I'm like, I want real people. It's weird because the enemy AI is actually really good in Left 4 Dead. It will dynamically like change itself depending on your playstyle, on like how well you're doing. It'll like adjust its aggressiveness. So if you're like it can tell if you're kind of new, it won't be as aggressive to you and stuff like that, which is
Right on. It's actually a like just live real time responds to your playstyle.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a lot of work. Good job, team. That's
Heck yes.
impressive. That is
yes,
super
it's a lot of
impressive.
I wish they would have put that same AI into the freaking teammates. It's hard to do. Like, they assume that you'll be playing with people and they have the matchmaking and stuff, but like when you play Left 4 Dead with them, they just get wrecked all the time. They just don't know how to move out of the way, or they'll walk off a ledge, or when you get like knocked down, it's like, come on. No, avoid the smoker. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the multiplayer trend coming back. I miss the split screen sitting on a couch punching your buddy in the arm while you're shooting him in the face days. Those are the highlights of games. Wishlisted
Stalker.
Outriders and Back for Blood.
Stalker 2 got announced too, I think. I don't know if it has an official date, but I think they said 2021. Eventually.
Shadow of Chernobyl was weird. It was a strange game.
Yeah, I've Call Up Prepared as well, and it's weird. That's all I can say. But I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to pull off with modern tech.
Oh, is Stalker going like, oh yeah, that's right, Perfect Dark remake. Ooh. Ew.
I saw a guy remade most of the levels for GoldenEye in like a Half-Life 4 or 5 mod, something like that. And apparently you can do the AI in the mods, so they even behaved mostly like the AI did. It was pretty impressive. It actually looked pretty good to the original experience. I'm flipping through my follows. Most of my follows is like
Too bad Elden Ring doesn't have a date, but maybe Elden Ring will come out somehow this year.
We'll never know though. It'll just release one day.
You're reminded of Perfect Dark Zero. Turn Joanna Dark into a spice girl, huh? Even though I didn't play the original Nier Replicant is coming.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna play that.
It looks pretty good.
I really enjoyed Nier Automata, and I don't think you would enjoy it at all.
I got the first boss down. Got to the first little area. I haven't really played it since then.
You're not gonna like it. But I am. I'm also looking forward to the new Horizon game.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be fiending over that one and picking it up as soon as I can.
And there's a new Ratchet and Clank as well.
Looking forward to Pokemon Snap. You don't need to lie about that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with loving Pokemon Snap.
We want Pokemon Snap around here. That's what we want.
Oh my god, they are making a co-op Evil Dead game. Please don't fuck this up.
They're gonna fuck it up. It's
Yes,
gonna be
they
like
are.
Dead by Daylight.
Who's it being made to Saber Interactive? Who are you?
That's not a good question. It's being made by someone I don't recognize. Please be good. Please be an experienced team. Hey, it might be some new guys that just pull something magical out of their ass. It happens. That's where Blizzard came from.
Maybe they might just be doing the port of. I'm confused. There's Boss Team Games and Saber Interactive. Oh no, okay. The Boss Team Games are the one who are porting it. It's Saber Interactive. It looks like I don't know. I don't know if it looks like they mostly just done ports. So I can't get too excited for it. But I do like Evil Dead.
Yeah.
If it's.
I want to like it, but my hopes are low.
We've been
you.
Jaded in the past. It's got co-op and versus. I think what they're probably going to do is maybe just take. It looks like Left 4 Dead style games might be making a comeback, so we might just see a bunch of those games kind of reskinned.
I'm good with
horde
that.
mode games. I'm alright with that.
Like World War Z, because I think the War Z did fairly well. It was a bit of a sleeper hit.
They had some really cool zombie tech. Cool zombie tech.
Yeah, they're like crowd tech and like how many zombies they can actually put on your screen was actually really cool. So I think it might be like that. The only thing about Evil Dead is that like they're not zombies, so I hope they don't just like make them zombies because Deadites are their whole own fantastically hilarious thing.
Yeah. I'm a big Evil Dead fan, so I'm with you. Kerbal Space Program 2 is back to 2022 now.
Ouch.
Yeah, good. Take your time. Make it good.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's not even early access anymore. Have you seen Morbid, The Seven Acolytes? Posted it a little while ago.
No.
It's like a 2D ISO Bloodborne like.
Oh yes, I have seen this one, and its gear system made me immediately go, I am not interested in this.
Oh, that's sad. I haven't seen the gear system at all yet, but I'm willing to play it anyway because of the style. The style is just amazing. The pixel art is just fantastic.
Or is this not the game that I'm thinking of? There's one like this that has like a Diablo loot system in it, and I was just like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, it looks like it does have a Diablo-ish loot system to it.
Yeah, not interested. Thank you.
That's unfortunate. I'm still going to pick it up and try it, because anything with that style needs to be played.
There's a new MMO coming up from Amazon, New World.
We're talking about Morbid, the Seven Acolytes.
I haven't seen too much on New World, but from what I know, the 2 other games that have been released by Amazon have already gone away, which was, I only remember was Crucible, and I think that one's dead now. So I think they're 0 for 2. So maybe third time's the charm, but that's not a good look.
Yeah, I'm not going to be jumping into an MMO from a team that I don't trust for the game to be around. I don't want to invest time and money and effort into something that's just going to die out real quick. The last time I did that was WildStar, and I loved WildStar, but it just died instantly.
Still miss it. It was actually solid.
Yeah, it was a great game. I loved the combat. I had highest threat parse in the world for a little while we were doing that first 20-man progression. That was fun. My medic had highest DPS in the world because of it. Because the medic was just he could do so much damage, like just vomit damage, that the only thing he was limited by was how much threat the tank had. The more threat the tank does, the more he can just dish. We went pretty far. It was a good team. Real quick. And then the game died. And I was sad. But it is past 6 already. I can smell the ribs. Glad the Overwatch clones seem to be dying off. Yeah, me too. You can go bye-bye. Haven't been here for the entire stream. You guys seem to have best of. What are your worst of? I don't really play bad games.
I typically don't like to go on bad.
We try not to focus on the bad. Because there's a lot of it.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's not always fair to, devs. Sometimes some things happen, and it's try not to be too negative on things, especially with everything going on, and be a bit more positive. Look at the good things that happened in 2020.
Yes, that's a fair point too. Yeah, we try to focus on good games and making games better. That's what we do. Why we do the reviews. It's not because we're ragging on the game. It's because you can't do better if you don't know where your shortcomings were.
Except for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, we were a little ragging on the game.
They do deserve worse stuff for bugs and release.
Yeah, they did get removed from the stores, and that's one of the first times it's happened.
Yeah,
at that scale. So was definitely a uncharted territory.
Yeah,
the Battle Royale were everywhere, and I still think they're slowly starting to go away now. Maybe I just blocked myself off from them. It wouldn't surprise me if the new Halo game will have a Battle Royale mode. But yeah, that also exploded. I think PUBG still started a new season. It's fairly popular, but now Ubisoft has their own one, and almost every major studio has kind of dropped out their own Battle Royale game.
Yeah, everybody tried one. There were only 2 successful ones, Fortnite and Apex.
Yep. I didn't even really enjoy any of them. I didn't play any of them.
I liked PUBG, but it was a bit of a buggy mess. But PUBG was pretty.
I hated the gun handling in PUBG. Yeah, I actually really liked the gun handling in Apex, though.
Apex is by far the best one, but the one I played the most of, and this was just due to Apex not existing at the time, was PUBG. But that's mostly because I played when PlayerUnknown had this mod in Arma, where it all started.
Yeah,
man, it's kind of neat to look throughout the years of like the trends, how these games come from mods as trend centers and then kind of inspire entire new genres. Like DayZ was a mod from Arma 2, and there was that whole zombie apocalypse game genre that blew up for a bit there, the open world one, and eventually someone figured out, oh wait, they just like killing people. No one gives a shit about the zombies, and then they just took that format, took out the zombies, and it's like, oh yeah, everyone just wants to roam a giant map and kill each other. And then you have PUBG, and then from that we got Battle Royale, which just blew up.
Yep. Well, we've been wanting to do a panel about mods for a while, and I don't think we have any topics necessarily coming up. Well, maybe we'll have that coming up in the next couple weeks. Sounds like a plan. we'll be talking about game mods and a history and evolution of them. Spent several months not being able to even play the game because it just kept crashing. RIP. Yeah, that's... Oh, Apex. Yeah. That sucks.
Most people don't actually know what Fortnite is. They just know the Battle Royale game mode of Fortnite. They just think that is only Fortnite. And it's like, no, Fortnite was an entire game before they added the game mode.
Yeah, it was a throwaway game mode added to the game just to be like, okay, fine, we'll do a Battle Royale. But then it ended up exploding.
Things do that. When I talked to EA, they told me to buy Windows 8 and 10 and see if that worked for me, and then call them back and let them know. Yeah, that's real bad. And we can talk bad about EA all day, but we already know that EA is on the developer shit list. That's all that needs to be known about them. We don't buy anything from them. I don't give them any money.
And we do have a shit list somewhere.
We do
of developers that you just shouldn't buy games from.
Yeah. It's on the website, which you can't really find anything on or get to yet, but it is actually in existence, and I have put work into it. So, there's something there. I'm just super busy. I'm working on it. Turns out working full-time and streaming part-time and making websites and stream content is super time-consuming. Yes, Ubisoft is on there. So it's Bethesda and Activision. Though I make exceptions for Activision, the publisher, at times. Because they published Sekiro.
And I make exceptions for EA as a publisher from time to time, but basically only for Respawn Entertainment.
Yeah,
I still need to check out the new VR game. I want to see. I got put off by some initial reviews that come out, but I also got to remember that with VR, we're so fresh and trying to experience it that, no one really knows what's going on. So I'm probably not just dive into it for myself, because I watched someone made a YouTube video I was watching play, and I'm like, this looks fun. It's a little jank, a little silly, but like that's kind of just what VR is. I'm like, what? Just wish they wouldn't have priced it at full price.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with the VR games.
We need to give our honorary "You actually made a game for VR, not just a tech demo" award.
Half-Life Alex.
You actually made a game. Good job.
That's
good.
A complete VR game that is actually good. Yep.
It's one of the we've had VR for quite a while, and everything's kind of just been tech demos, and most new games are still actually just tech demos. And that was the first one. I'm like, this is a game, and it still has some tech demo elements to it. Like at one point, you're in like an area with a whiteboard, and you're kind of just dicking around. Like, this is cool. I can draw. But when you get into the actual gameplay, it's like I'm playing Half-Life, but I am the player. Like, I'm moving everything, and it's like, this is the future. It really kind of gives you a glimpse of what things will look like when, a bit more market share is there for the devices and a bit more money is thrown to those studios to make these games.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Although I will say Gorn is still my favorite tech demo ever.
Gorn is my favorite, and Arizona Sunshine got closest to being a game before that. That was pretty damn close to a game. Arizona Sunshine did a lot of good stuff. And Activision forcing FromSoft to add the pop-up detector. There's a lot of stuff in Sekiro that I just feel is Activision more than FromSoft. A lot of little things. The core of the game is all FromSoft, and you can tell. But like certain bends that were made to make it just more pick-upable and playable by everybody. I don't think that comes from FromSoft. That's just not Miyazaki's mindset. It's not.
And I feel like it's the reason why they tried one game with another publisher and now have not made another game with them.
Yeah. Black and white.
Yeah, Sushi Ghost is good.
Like a tutorial pop-up in the middle of a boss fight. Yeah, stuff like that.
At least they didn't put in difficulty settings yet. Well, they probably won't now they switch publishers, but I remember that being something that Activision wanted.
Yeah, Activision was pushing for it. And I agree with them not doing it. It's core and staple to their games. If you can't play them, just keep trying. Trust me, you can. You got to learn how to play it. that's all there is to it.
It'd be like adding like an infinite ammo setting for like shooters or like Doom and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's unfortunate at times, but it kind of becomes the crux of the experience.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. All right. My throat is now hoarse, so I'm gonna go eat dinner. Do fun stuff like that. Recover. I think I might play a bit more sushi, guys. We might play some Grim Dawn. Maybe do some Grim Dawn.
I'd be down for some Grim Dawn.
All right, might do that. Die to a boss more than once, and suddenly a game asks you, "Hey, guy, you want to switch to easy mode?" Yeah, no, fuck. Yeah, I'm with you. The thing is, it's not even the boss that kills me a few times, typically. It's some scripted section area of the game where changing difficulty doesn't even affect it, because you just have to know the script and follow it along, that I've died to a couple times, and then they try to put it on easy. Piss off game.
Or you fall in a hole, because gravity hardest boss.
Would you like to turn down the difficulty? No, just turn down gravity for me. No, we'll do the game giveaway on the next one. I haven't really been back. We don't have a lot of, subs and stuff like that yet back. Some people missing. Give it some time. It's only been one stream. We'll be back, though. I'll be back on Monday. Nope, we have not run out of games. There's still 40, 50 games, something like that.
I think it's mostly for like there's no one's had a chance to sub or bit cheer or any of that stuff yet.
Exactly.
So it would just be the pool is fairly small right now.
Yep. But thank you all for showing up. I was worried that I would get anybody after not being around for so long. So super, super happy to see you all. Thanks for taking part in chat. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Maybe came away with some desire to play a couple of these games that we've been raving about. You're very welcome for the stream, Pookie. For the Peemstrookie. The Peemstrookie.
Dead.
Finally, more chaos on Deponia. Yeah, the game made me sick the first time I played it. That's how good it was. Beam me up, Strookie. I love it. I loves it. So until I get to see you on Monday, take care of yourself. Hope you had a fantastic holiday. Hope you had a great new year. Look forward to a whole new year of fantastic games with you guys all. But until then, I'm Deus.
I'm Rage.
And I'm Pseudo.
And may all your shots be headshots.